Welcome, I'm Bill Wake. We're here working on a Pleat calculator to support Kilt makers. And we've been working lately on knife pleats and recognize there's a lot of similarity between those and box pleats that really, from our perspective, it's kind of the initial conditions that are a little different. All right, I literally just ran the test, so we're all green. And, well, let's get Designer. So yeah, here we are. We got knife pleat designer, and really everything got pulled up into PleatDesigner, except initial width. We default to 1 for a knife pleat, and box pleat designer. Initial width defaults to the fabric divided by 3, just because as you fold a box pleat, that's the way it works. Do we have pleat designer up here? No. Oh, there it is. Okay. And this has everything else. Now, I started down a path the other day, as we were pulling these classes together, I wanted to get rid of that last bit of stuff. So I started defining this initial width as a function with, just a default argument. But what I realized is it would be really nice if we just said, like, I would just like to ask the pleat designer for a box function or a knife function, a knife initial width or box initial width or something like that. And I think we can go from there. Okay, so well, let's get back. Slide this over, knife pleat in box pleat. Okay, so somehow we want the box pleat to end up doing this and the knife pleat to do the other. All right, and my notion was that there's a static function var box initial, well, actually, I just even want to call it box pleat. I think I want a function. No, maybe it's a var box pleat, and then equals, well, let me carry out both sides of this at the same time. Okay. I am wanting to pass this to that. So it's got to be a function of the pleat designer. Okay. So it should take a pleat designer in, and then let's see if we can say his type. It's going to be designer, pleat designer goes to double, I think. Okay, so this gives me, you give me the pleat designer, I'll give you back a double. Well, okay, and box pleat is pleat fabric divided by 3. And this has got to be on designer now. Okay. And this one hard-coded 1.0. Okay. Now, his type has to be the same. And he's going to ignore the designer. Okay. Oops. Of. Okay. So now I want you to pass me one of these. This is Pleat initial width of that type. Okay, I think I'm going the right way here. And then we need an initial width of that same type. Okay. And now let's save it. Okay, we're not calling it yet. All right. And then, oh yeah. Okay. Now, let's make that and take this off. Oops. Take this off. This off. And then we got to get our collars flipped over to the new thing. Okay. Oh, I might want another layer in here. Okay, but at any rate, my collars can, let's do a knit. And then their job is, I forget how you do this in Swift. Is it, you don't have super, do you? You do, okay. Super.init with PleatDesigner.box knife pleat. Okay. And then similarly here, matter of fact, so similarly, I'll just copy this. We're going to get rid of this class eventually. All right, and this is box. All right, now, the thing that's still off is the calling of this initial width. The old one just passed nothing. All right. I think we want... yeah, I almost did this before. I think we want this. Okay, so we want to return a function of that. Actually, I don't think I need that because it's void. Double expects 0 arguments. Yeah, okay. It's a little indirect. They're going to go away. Sorry, no. Yeah, yeah. So they, the reason is I want to, I really want this function to be that, and then I'm going to call pleat initial width. Oh, can I do this? Oh, I can't do this, can I? Pleat initial width. Oh, this one's not compatible. Yeah, okay. Let's try this. I may have to default it. Is it still a problem? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll fix those later. What's the complaint? Opening brace. Okay, sure. Okay. So what's happening is we're in effect we're peeling off the fact that because we need to get to the pleat fabric, we're peeling that off here. And what we get back is a function that looks like this, which goes in here. And that's exactly the signature of initial width that we used to have. So now if somebody calls designer.initialWidth, they're calling the variable with parentheses, then it's going to look the same. Okay, so I think I'm all self-consistent at this point. Let me make sure it builds. Preceded by a single space on the same line as the declaration. I don't know what's the matter with that. All right. Well, in any case, that's fine. Let's make sure tests can work. Yeah, so the thing it's a little I don't know the right word. Weird. It's a little twisted around, I guess, because oh, I'm trying to get rid of those. Okay, I got to make sure we do. What it's twisted around because I want to evaluate this pleat fabric at the runtime of this thing, you know, and so I can't just calculate it right away. I can't calculate designer.pleatFabric divided by 3. You know, if I took out this, you know, theoretically I could get that, but pleat fabric changes, so it wouldn't be right. All right, now I got to make sure these two are not really being used at this point. Box pleat initial width. Knife pleat initial width. Okay. Yeah, good. All right. One more check and then we'll clean up. So it's got an indirection level that isn't there before, but what that did was we went from those two classes that were completely very, very, very similar, except for that initial width, and now we've folded in that initial width, and rather than put that out in those, it's all in this class that it knows that box pleats are the fabric divided by 3, and knife pleats start out just 1. So I think that's good. All right, let's push. So make knife pleat and box pleat pass an initial width function. All right, so I can clean this out. All right. Opening brace should be preceded by a single space. I guess he wants it up on the previous line. That seems weird to me, but and then wanted to take a little. It's a slightly odd situation, so I wanted to take a little weirdness in my formatting. It'll definitely cause a double take because this is a weird type, especially, you know, it's kind of a functional style, I guess, a function returning a function, you know, and you read it as PleatDesigner returns a function from this to double. So this is kind of right arrow is right associative, just to be a little different. Okay, so those are clean. Let's take care of these two comments. All right. Delete comments. Oh, and I'm not. Yeah, so I realized this, like, it's always 5 minutes after the show ends. But yeah, like, oh, wait, you need to do static functions that pass these. This is actually that. Okay, passes the initial width. Okay. I would say we've done that. This is the seventh. Yeah, this was kind of a question mark. All right. Refactor subclasses aren't needed. Right. So now somebody could just call PleatDesigner of knife pleat. And I actually want to make the callers do that. Well, interestingly, there's one place. Okay, we started to go down that path. All right, so it's really the same as PleatDesigner of PleatDesigner dot knife pleat. Okay, now we only create one designer for these tests, so let's run these. Box pleat's a little more prevalent, I suspect. All right. Okay, and now no one's using this. All right, so we can just eliminate that. Knife pleat designer dot swift delete. All right, and then same thing for box pleat designer. Okay, now these tests, they look a lot. I think we can just do that like we did up there. I'm going to leave it at first and just take out these. Now, it could be possible some test needs its own initialization, but I don't think so. Yeah. All right. And then box PleatDesigner. Well, we have those calls. All right. This one. And this one. Okay, so let's go to PleatDesigner. And we need PleatDesigner.box. Pleat. And same thing here. Good. Designer test. Huh. Okay. All right. So now, kill uses of box PleatDesigner. Okay. And now the box PleatDesigner itself. Make sure we didn't miss any. Yep. Okay. Delete. Now I may be moving things. Well, all right, let's delete unused box PleatDesigner. Okay, test pass. We really should have run it because a lot of this is UI oriented. I mean, we do have a fair bit of tests on the back end of it, but the front end is less so. All right, so we'll do 20 and 6. Should be 2 inches on the box pleat. Oh, something's wrong. Oh no. Oh, I did it backwards. Okay. 6 and 20. Okay, 2 inches. Good. Now this we haven't plugged in yet, so it's not going to show up. All right, but that works. I guess the other thing I saw is, well, Pleat equations really is applies to both. Let me move this up. Well, not quite so far up. There we go. And I think, given these are the only things left in there, I'm not gonna bother with a separate little folder for them. Pleat validator count. I don't know if I can sort by name. Okay. All right. All right. So reorganized pleats folder. All right. Well, I think we're here. All right. I'm going to defer this question momentarily, or, well, more in a moment, but should we make a type for pleat types? I don't know. But, so I think the next big thing is to actually put this functionality in. We have the designer, we have the knife drawing, and we just don't have it put together. So let's get the pleat view. And I don't think we're going to care about these. We might care about that. All right. So the thing that's going to happen is we maintain the box pleat. We're going to need a similar thing for the knife pleat. Okay, and let's go down where the box pleat's used. Okay. Pleat shape, we select one of box pleat and then one knife pleat. Well, let's do it. Oh, I can't extract a variable. Okay, I'll just. Okay. I mean, that should be the same. We just move that up. Okay, but the PleatDesigner width. Width. It's going to be very similar. Okay, I'll move it below. I mean, it's so similar, I'm just going to copy it momentarily. It will be a little different, but okay. So the big difference is the validating text field, yes, width, but we need knife pleat designer, which I don't think we have yet. Okay, now there's an update on this. And we're going to have to make that update show in both places. Right, yeah, so we really need to do the same thing here. There may be a better way, but we'll look a bit for that better way. But for now, I'm gonna just say, if you're doing this for box, you're just gonna keep them both ready. So whichever selector they take, you know, changing the set or the sets per pleat is, or the hip, is going to adjust the pleats. Okay. Change. All right. This is box pleat. Okay. Okay, knife pleat. Let's change these to knife pleat designer. Now this thing is different, and this goes back. Gap message. Well, that can't apply. There is no gap. Okay. Now. Okay, so the knife, we need knife plate drawing. All right, its arguments are gap. What's yeah, that's not needed. And this is really pixels. I think they're still called pixels. I don't know. Yeah, I think we'll see we'll see. But I think it's in the end I think we may be able to use the same one and make the swap out the initial width function. I'm hoping. All right. Pleat pixels, yes. All right. So knife plate drawing just takes the pixels, which makes sense. I mean, when you look at the other arguments here, they're all about the gap, and we don't have a gap. It does make me question why there's so many arguments there. All right. And okay, this is promising. It looks a little weird. It looks like we're drawing a knife plate on us, or box plate. Doesn't it? I guess it's not. Okay, we'll have to see. All right. These tests should not have a problem with all this. Good, and let's run. Okay, so this should be working the way it always did. 6 and 20. That's 2. All right, if we say let's make it 3. Yeah. Let's make it 5. We should have a 1/2 inch. Well, the gap is 4.5 and 1/2 an inch for the 2 remaining sides. Okay. Yeah, I guess the drawing is probably bad. Okay. Anything else? Okay, let's switch. We got 620, 6, 1, and 20. All right. And then switching it. Why isn't that a 1? Let's make sure we're displaying the right one. Okay, validating text field with designer.plate with knife plate designer knife plate. Oh, there it is. Well, no, there it isn't. That was wrong, but it's not. I don't think it's doing that to us. Yeah, that's why I'm wondering if we need an initial calculation when we switch. Why isn't it? Okay, while we're here, let's try changing this to 7 inches. Yeah, that should have been calculated initially. Let's go back to box pleat. And that gets set, and it does change it. Okay, so there's some difference. And let's change it back to knife. Yeah, why? Okay, these are not changing. I don't know if our picture picks up changes or if we just did a static picture. But the initial calculation is not being done. Changing the hip should change the initial calculation. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to say it's progress because it appears to work other than the initial calculation. So I'm comfortable enough, like somebody could get by with this if they needed to, assuming this is really being done right. Okay, so if, wait, is that right? Total fabric for pleats. Okay. Activate UI for knife pleats. I'm thinking that total fabric is not going to be right. Where is that? All right, it's only box pleats. Let's get this size thing straightened out first. The initial value. Okay, so let's see where we're at. Switch between them. Yes, I think we can say we're doing that. But we need to make sure initial width set for knife pleats. So I guess we're back to PleatDesigner. And it's something about it's our equations, right? If you change the hip, then we should update our equations. Initial width. Initial width. Okay, so I'm going to break here. Can I do this without... Okay, we'll do 6, 20. Okay, whoops. Continue. Continue. All right. Now, if I switch to knife, it's not going to execute this code. Okay. Well, when we hit the knife selector, we are swapping which designer we show, but nobody has called initial width or equations.startPleat for that matter on this. And so these are not there. Okay, let's find our selector. That one's going to be an issue too. Selected pleat. There must be an action thing I can do. Because this gets called. I mean, they may come in here and not do any selection and redraw this with whatever selection they had. But I don't know if I can get an action in here on a picker. Yeah, I think I need to change initial width, and I think I also need to run my setup equations, because I don't think they'll know. Like, nothing will tell this one. Well, where's ideal hip coming? Yeah, so ideal hip gets set. Well, no, wait a minute. Isn't that the on-change stuff I just did? Let's make sure I did all those right. Okay, tartan.set. So when you update the set, we're going to tell both of these that the set has changed. Pleat fabric. Tartan, pleat fabric. Okay, so that's the fabric for one pleat has changed. And then when they change sets per pleat, changing that also affects pleat fabric. It checks it's those two variables. Okay, now pleat width. Wait, where's the ideal hip? Whoops. And over here, set pleats width. Oh, gotta get to the main drag. Okay, pleat shape. All right, we want pleats. Oh. So only the designer gets notified of ideal hip changes. All right, I think pleat count view contains that. Let's make sure it does. Yeah. It works off the designer. Okay. Well. Well, it's a little weird. I mean, I can move this up and then let each side do the two sections, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, but this one, well, maybe the mistake, it's, we have to pass the pleat count is the one on the designer we're working with. So this is changed when we've selected a different thing. So I think, well, now I got two problems. One is the ideal hip is managed on the PleatDesigner, and I think I could make a case that it's sort of like the tartan, that there's a separate concept, and that's like your measurements. I mean, your person's measurements. Maybe we can call it person, but really they consist of a waist, a hip, and a length is the three measurements. Yeah, I mean, I think the easy way is toggle them. I guess I want to know if I should be pulling out ideal hip into its own thing, just like we did the sets. Excuse me. But let's get it working properly, and then we'll refine it as we often do. Okay, so I'm going to pull the picker out. It'll look a little weird standing up there by itself, maybe, but I think this is our way around it for now. Okay, so we'll pull this section down. We wouldn't have to, but I think, well, maybe we shouldn't. Okay. I mean, I'm kind of going to do this same thing up here. That's box pleat. And this is knife pleat. Still a pleat count view, but this becomes knife pleat designer. Okay. All right, now that thing, and then we're going to do the same thing down here. Yuck. But let's make it more the same, and then we'll worry about becoming different. So this whole thing is dependent on the designer. Box pleat, knife pleat. Knife pleat designer fabric. Okay. That. Okay, so our military pleat is fine. The fabric for pleats, wait a minute. Why should the fabric for pleats change? Okay, I'm questioning everything here. If we've got 6-inch pleats and we got 10 of them, that's 60 inches, right? Oh, I guess we need a different number of pleats if we make them wider. Okay, 7 pleats times 6. Okay, okay. All right, now pleat width, initial width not set. Oh, wait, whoa. Ideal hip we lost. Gosh, that sort of tells me I got to pull it out. It sort of tells me it should be a binding coming in, not a variable I'm adjusting. Ugh. All right, well, again, we're going to try and get through it. I'm going to say unchanged of box pleat designer dot ideal hip. We're going to tell the other designer to update. And this is value n. Can see why I'm not so enthusiastic about it, but okay. Knife pleat designer dot ideal hip. Okay. That's not changing. Okay. Woof, woof, woof. Okay. So my working theory was my ideal hip was nil on the other one. So on knife it was nil because we were only affecting the box pleat side. Okay, so if I went back and fill them in 620. All right. So, oops. Width is 2 inches. All right, and if I select my knife plate, we should have a width of 1 inch. Yay! Okay. So much better. Okay, so if I change this, let's get it down to a, I'll make it a multiple. Well, let's make it 10. Or go the other way. Oh, there we had it. Okay. So 16 pleats of 1 2/8, 1 1/4 inches equals 20. That's the ideal hip. This one should, the hip didn't change, so nothing should change over here. It's still 10 at 2. All right, let's mock them up, go back over here. They're independent. All right, now let's do total fabric for pleats. On the knife pleat, let's do 20. Oops. 20 times the set of 6 is 120. If I do smaller ones, that should update. Okay, yeah, so we only get 16 pleats of 6 inches is 96. All right. Okay. Separate ideal hip and total fabric. Make them calculate under the right pleat designer value. Okay. Now, I don't know if it's right or wrong. So, okay. So the ideal hip, this coordination between them is assigned to me that it's working. Or I should say it more generally, all those on changes, they're sort of assigned, like they're needed because we have this external object, the tartan, and yet we rely on knowing its amount of pleat fabric. And if the tartan changes because they changed the set or the sets per pleat, we need to tell our designers, like, hey, somebody just adjusted the tartan on you. And so they're kind of managing the latest version of that, but neither one owns it. Now, that feels to me like it feels to me like we should pass the tartan into our box pleat designer. And maybe that's the gap there. And I think the same case holds here. This measurement is really managed, or, well, it's really a characteristic. It's not a characteristic of the pleat and the pleat design. It's a characteristic of the person we're doing it for. Now, the adjusted hip, that's a characteristic of the pleat design. It's like, this is our count, this is our pleat width, the hip size is therefore going to be this. So should pleats be a separate component? Well, yeah, I mean, it's... Let's get down there. The fact, well... Oh, let me say it this way. If we pull out ideal hip, it would be, I think we would need to pass a binding to ideal hip. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. I believe the person, their body shape, and the tartan, I think those should both be independent variables with a binding passed into the pleat designer. It needs, is it even a binding? I'm not sure if it's a binding or just a value, but it needs those values to do its job. It's not changing them, right? We can't change the hip from the designer. We can't change the set from the designer. That's all being done outside of the designer. We'll go back up to tartan. All right, so tartan view, it's got its own text field for that. It's not managed by anything related to the pleat designer, other than we notify them. Okay, so yeah, that I think would help some of this. So this annoys me slightly. This other one really annoys me more. Because it's like every, let's say we added 5 more kinds of pleats. I don't think they exist, so we're not going to, but it's like this one has to know all the other pleat types to do its job. And that job is being done at the UI level, which means, we're not testing it the way we're working anyway. And every one you add has to update all the previous ones. So that sounds like bad. You know, we don't want a situation where adding a new possibility means going in and updating all those other ones, you know. So that's kind of what OO is, one of the things you're supposed to be getting from it anyway. Okay, so I guess the part I'm not seeing. Okay, let's see. I guess what I'm saying is I want to create tartan. I want to create the tartan and then pass it into the box pleat designer and the knife pleat designer and somehow pass the reference to it. Now, what's going to tell it? What's going to tell the pleat designer that the tartan changed, right? That should be. I'm not sure. I mean, is that something we get for free? It may be. If I pass, I mean, a binding is saying it's a two-way binding. You know, if I'm passing something that's not my value, I don't know if I need it. Okay. Let's see. I did check in, right? Okay. So I think my step one here, and I don't know, we're going to be doing this for a couple of days probably. The first step I'm going to take is I want to make these pleat fabric values go into the tartan without needing to do on change. And maybe that's not possible. So I'm kind of doing an experiment, but I think if I pass the tartan object to the knife pleat designer, to the designers, I don't know if I need to do it on their construction because that's going to be more complicated, but let's see if we can do that. We'll pass the tartan in. It can be, I guess our init can do it. We don't really have an init now, do we? All right, these are all, that defaults to nil, that's set. These two are set, this one's set. Okay, so I think our init, okay, let's make sure my strategy here. So what I'm going to do is an init, and then I'm going to do a defer if I have to, but I'm going to set box pleat designer dot tartan equals the thing it's given, this tartan. So yeah, it's got to be a defer because it's got to wait till this is initialized. Okay. Let's see now. Pleat designer. He knows pleat fabric. Okay, so this field. So we made him published. I don't think we need to. All right, let's add the ability to pass the tartan to keep a tartan. Tartan is tartan design ? Actually, let's make him private for now. Oh, no, I do want him public. Okay. All right. So it's not set here, but it's got to be set pretty soon after. Okay. So this should just, nobody should care. We set a variable that's defaulted to nil that nobody looks at. Okay, now in here, I'm going to add my init. And then in defer, I want to say box pleat PleatDesigner dot tartan equals tartan. Right? Okay. And knife plate designer. Okay. Again, nobody should care. But I'll run this to make sure it's not some runtime initialization error kind of thing. Like that. Okay. Installed. Oh, you're supposed to do this differently. I think it's really supposed to be done on here. On up here. Do that. Where did my up here go? Body. Well, that's the one. Where did I put it? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's knife plate. Okay, yes, I want it on here. All right, let's make sure that's still. Yeah, I'm not seeing any purple marks. All right. 6:20. All right, now if we change the set, these values should change. I mean, that should still be working, but we'll just do it, and they change. Okay. All right. So we introduced tartan field to PleatDesigner. Initialized on appear of the view, but not used. All right. So this should guarantee that when our view appears, that gets set before anything else goes on. All right. Now let's try and make use of it. Box plate. Pleat fabric. Now, does he have to be published? I don't even think he should be published. Okay. So it's not a did set, it's really an on change. Let's make sure this is still okay. All right, and this. Oops. All right, that appears fine. Now if we change it, eight. Okay, so that is changing. Okay, but there's something I'm not. Okay, let's look at Tartan design. He is observable. So the reason I'm struggling is if this value is trying to get the value from Tartan, and so I want to do. I mean, I want to return Tartan by pleat fabric. But the question to me is, will this get updated correctly? And maybe I'm. I got buried in this. We were doing the sort tables program. Gosh, like my first Twitch sessions, probably almost 2 years ago now. And I definitely got tangled up in these updates because I had objects and I wanted them to update other observable objects, updating other observable objects. So I ended up doing some of the combined stuff to monitor them and everything. But it feels like I shouldn't have to. But the thing is, if this changes, right? I mean, that should change how we work here, and maybe that's. I don't know. Okay, I guess the question is, if this changes now, I mean, everybody in here is referencing pleat fabric through the tartan. And if it changes, I need to change all my values, okay, because it takes a different number of pleats and all that. All right, let's run it this way, but I'm definitely treating this like an experiment. Okay, pleat fabric is a get-only product. Okay, so yeah, we're kind of taking this out. And this one. But how do they find the change now? That's the tricky. Now, maybe the framework is doing it for us. I don't know, but if it is, I'm not understanding the mechanism. Okay, so I've set my hip, and this is built off the tartan. So if I change this to 8, this should change. It doesn't. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. So I've done this experiment for a break. I've done this experiment. I've demonstrated that changing the set does not affect the width anymore because it's not, in effect, it's not calling this. And I don't want to have to do that. But I think that means I have to set up monitoring on pleat fabric, not just rely on it. But if I can set it up here without changing things too much, I guess I'd be happy. I don't want to have to do it over and over for every view and all that stuff. All right. Local triggers on change calls establish. Yeah, maybe, but that's kind of what I was trying to avoid. And that's kind of how we do it already. We just, well, maybe it isn't how we're doing it. Okay, we'll consider it on the way back. All right, so 3 or 4 minutes, and we'll come back and tackle a little different approach. Welcome back. Okay, so a local Pleat variable that triggers on change. Yeah, I think that's basically what we were doing. We had our variable. We put the on change of tartan over on the other side, on the view side, and then updated the local variable, and that triggered the call to set establish non-required, which I'm still looking for a better term. All right. Call sign. So should Pleat fabric call both established functions? Well, I don't know. I don't think it should do that, because I think that on tartan, like, it doesn't want to know about who listens to it and what they do with it, right? That's kind of why you want to be observable, is let other people worry about that stuff. Okay, so I did just have an idea here. This is, I'm going to call these Pleat variables. Whoops, there. Establish Pleat variables, because these are all the Pleat shape and count and all that stuff with. Okay, so I'm going to work on this name a tiny bit first. Establish Pleat variables. Okay. And should be okay. All right, and so I think what I want to do is in Swift make one observable observe another. Yeah, that's exactly my question. Nested observed objects. Okay. Well, it sounds like it. Let's see. Ball manager. Right. So in our case, we've got Tartan's publishing its field, and then the PleatDesigner is observing it. Right. Receive balls. I think our on change. Well, receive is more the combined stuff. When a ball in the ball array changes, you call object will send to update the observable object. Yeah, this is the kind of thing we had to do before, this set cancelables thing, and then run them all and tell them object will sync. Just create a ball view and observe it to make changes from there. You have to observe each observable object directly. I think that's the reason. Well, okay, so we're arguing that. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's kind of what we were doing. Observable object is a view model. Oh dear. Okay. That's a little different. Well, I'm not. Tells a view. Well, good stuff, but how does combine node observable? This is more the question we have. Yeah. Okay. Observable object has a reference. Okay, some element published is also, okay, yeah, that's the kind of thing we want. Observed object is the main thing. Yeah, this is what we did before in the other project. You create a cancelable and then you set it up. This is effectively saying, I'm going to, basically, this is saying if element changes, notify the listeners that I have changed. Yeah, it's fragile. Well, I don't know, because all right, make sure I'm understanding. I tend to just try and skip that part. Can I listen for changes on the observable from inside the designer? Yeah, I mean, I think basically that's what this kind of code does. It's saying, watch element if the value changes, I think, then you'll receive it and you'll do a notify. And object will change is the it's the notification system that Combine uses, and I think is underneath the Swift UI stuff. I don't know. It's a little work, but maybe it's not as bad. It means I got to be aware that my elements are observable in her example here. So element is observable, and we're going to watch its value. Now, I don't know how that... And we have this derived value that we're changing. Okay, let me try. Can I make this published? I got a feeling I can't. Oh, well, why not? property wrapper cannot apply to a computed property. Well, I can, okay, let's try another. Okay, if I did set on this, all right, let me change it around a little. Let's do this. Did set will do something. This is just a variable. Okay. Let me make a helper. Func set pleat fabric. It's void, and it's going to do the body of what we just had. If set is nil, nil. Oh, let's just return. Okay. Well, no, I guess if set is nil, then pleat fabric equals nil. Okay, so I'm gonna make this private set. Okay, so it's public to access, but it's private set. And here I'm gonna call set pleat fabric. And here I'm gonna call set pleat fabric. Okay. My claim is that should be the same. Yeah, those are going away, don't worry. Okay, and now we're back to the old approach. So this is making sure it doesn't break anything in the current setup. Well, there you go. It does, in fact, break it. Oh, what's weird here, right? It's like it doesn't recognize. So when I change the set, I do not get my default value. And if I change it explicitly, I still don't. What if I can't set it because this isn't recognized. Okay. Let me revert this, make sure it still was working. Oh, did I comment stuff out in Pleat view? I did. Okay. Well, I'm gonna wish I hadn't reverted now, aren't I? I don't think I'll get an undo back on that. Undo. No. Okay. Did set. Did I modify both those? Yes. Okay. Did set. We're going to call set Pleat fabric. Okay. I don't know if Pleat fabric is the right word. All right. Should pass tests. Should keep working. All right, that's back. All right. So this thing, Pleat fabric. Well, maybe it is Pleat fabric. Because it's how much you're putting in a pleat, and that is kind of characteristic of this. It's sort of the point of points of sets per pleat. All right, now I don't know if these need to be published still or not, but it won't hurt to have them published unnecessarily. All right, now let's go back to here. And Pleat fabric. Yeah, I don't know if this is. Let's go back to this. So we're observable. We're going to put this in. We set up that. Okay, that's in our net. Okay, cancelable. Now in here. Okay, where to? Well, let's just get this. Initial width. Okay, so self dot. Oh, interesting. It sort of says we need our tartan passed in. Okay. Let's go with this. We have to import combine. Okay. So changing this. All right. So I guess I need tartan set up to set up the cancelables for it. I really do have it, so I don't really have to wait for it, but I don't get it right away here. I don't think I can do this. Okay, now a couple of tests that still need a tartan now. Right, this can't be done here. I really wish I could go assume these came in order so I could do this. All right, so this is type is going to be PleatDesigner bang. And then down here, equals, I guess I'll make it clear. Okay. Should PleatDesigner conform to ObservableObject? PleatDesigner. Well, it does. Okay. And that, oh. State object course, please. Questionable conformed. Am I better? No. Pleat, why was it okay with PleatDesigner question mark? No, it's not initialized. No. Oh, he was a PleatDesigner, plain PleatDesigner before. Okay. Ugh. don't think I can do this. Yeah. Oh, golly. Say get only property. Now, I thought you were supposed to be able to do this, but maybe it's... Yeah, we can do the underscore thing. Yeah. Okay. That's actually relatively normal. And I think we have to wrap it in the state thing, right? Yeah. State object with wrapped value. That. Escaping auto closure. Variable used. Self.night PleatDesigner. Okay, so the deal is they've created the object in place. That's what I think I've done. Sorry, self. Well, they didn't say self. Maybe I don't think that should matter. Now this, I think, gets me a use before initialized. Yeah. All instance methods receive a reference to self as implicit first parameter, so you have to capture self to call the instance method. You don't actually need an instance variable, a static function. You no longer need to call the self. Right. Well, I'm not sure what self I'm capturing here. Self toggle binding equals binding of both. It's a problem in the initializer. In the escape enclosure, you're capturing a mutating self. Oh, make it lazy. Variable self.night. Well, that seemed to be what this was doing. State object private var object of some type. Object is an observable. State object private var box PleatDesigner of some type, which is observable. Init underscore object equals state object. Well, I don't. State object wrap value colon the newly constructed thing. Use before initialize. Well, ugh. Well, can I pass that in? All right, let's make this a observed object. Okay, and then the caller of this should define it. Right, and then he should pass it in. I think that's going to screw up some other call sites. Okay, yeah. Inaccessible to the private protection level. Oh. That's content view. Missing arguments. Yeah. All right. So Pleat view needs. I'm getting buried now. If I pass that in, okay. This becomes PleatDesigner tartan PleatDesigner.box pleat. This becomes PleatDesigner. Knife plate. Something's still unhappy. Well, maybe now I can. No, what's the matter here? Tabernacle, that's an old. Okay. I think I'm coming full circle. What? Preview. PleatDesigner. Okay. Wow. Okay. Tests. All right. Yeah, this is fine. Okay, let's rework how tartan is passed in to PleatDesigner. Okay, I think we're getting there. All right. So now we pass this in. So now the PleatDesigner can use it. Cancelable. All right. We've got self.tartan equals tartan. Now we can set up cancelable. Okay, so self dot tartan. I think this is going to be pleat fabric. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to set tartan. We're going to monitor it. If it changes, then we're going to, well, I think we're also going to establish pleat variables. And I think that gets done here. All right. Now I'm losing myself. Where? Okay, so somewhere we got to change tartan pleat fabric again. I'm going to try and go back to this. And I don't know if he has to be published, but okay, test should be okay. No. Oh. Yeah, we're not doing that through there anymore. What's your problem? Oh, this should go away now. Okay. That really has to be the tartan. Okay. Okay. Now, oh, these changes, do I want to deal with them? I guess I'm going to do this piecemeal. And knife PleatDesigner tests. Pleat fabric. Oh. I really should be setting these other fields. Unimplemented setter. Oh, golly. Well, okay, we could use setup. Yeah, let's do that. Is it? No. What? Oh, I guess because okay. We'll take a few at a time. Plate fabric, okay. So tartan. I think we're using number. No, we're using inches. Okay. Really? Oh, wait. This has to be. Pleat width should be 8 divided by 5. Pleat fabric was 5. That's coming from the set. Pleat count is 5. And yet pleat width is nil. Where's my designer? So it makes me wonder if this is the wrong order. Oh man. I don't know. Maybe this path is a bad one. Actual is nil. And this should be like 8 divided by 5. Yeah. Okay. Why is pleat width nil? All right, let's break in here. I don't know. I'm questioning my choices here. Okay, let's take this test. Tartan.set is nil. Okay. If I step over this, that's not going to change it. Okay, we'll continue. Okay, we're just getting here now. Okay. Inches. All right, step over. That's nil. Now I don't see how that happens. Because if set has a value, oh well, okay, maybe it doesn't happen yet. This is all this timing thing. I think this will change function is being called before it actually updates the value. If I knew my combined stuff a bit better, maybe I could see my way through. PleatFabric.sync. It says we're going to take the tartan. Well, this doesn't need to be an optional. Maybe I'm backwards here. All right, so I see the problem as being PleatDesigner. This gets notified before the object changes, so there's no point trying to establish Pleat variables there. I mean, what I kind of want to do is I want to know when the tartan pleat fabric did change. I mean, will change is fine in a sense. It goes up, and that tells Swift UI like, hey, you're gonna have, you're gonna be getting some published changes, and you have to redraw some stuff and all that. Well, I think I'm going to leave it here. I'll do a little reading and see if I can understand why or how we connect to see the change on this thing. I mean, what was that example we just had here? Object will change. username is this. Why does that help? I guess it's saying that's the same as at published. Say that I had to disk. And can we call both will set and did set? All right. Yeah, I'll do a little research and see if I can see what's causing all this. Otherwise, maybe I just have to give up on this and live with the differences, the different design with that on-change notification stuff. I'd love to get rid of it. Yes, I definitely would love to get rid of it. Maybe I can unify it. All right, we'll try that tomorrow. All right, so tomorrow, Tuesday, 2 to 4:30 Eastern or 6 to 8:30 p.m. UTC. Thanks for joining me today, and I'm hoping we can knock through this one way or the other tomorrow. I think what I may end up doing is pulling this, where to go, Pleat view, this on-change stuff. I think I can pull it up to the top level of here, and then I don't feel quite so bad about it. But there's still all this stuff duplicated. I really would like to get rid of that. So we'll push a little further tomorrow and see. All right. Thanks again. Yeah, it's kind of a mess. I don't know. I'm either close to the edge or we're just going to give up and do a different approach. Anyway, tomorrow. Bye-bye.